Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another Delightfully Dark Discussions. I am Priestess ᴜᴜᴏᴜ, and I'm here with Priestess Hurricane.
Hi.
And we have a very special guest today,
Yes.
Hurricane Titania.
Yes. She is a shamanic artist and one who understands the darkness and is inspired and influenced by the demonic divine. And we are just going to have a fun conversation with her, exploring all the good things dark and demonic. So welcome.
Welcome.
It's such an honor.
It is. It's an honor to have you on the show with us. We know that we've been friends with Hurricane for, so do you want me to call you Hurricane or Titania?
Okay. Hurricane, yes.
Also, the sound is being weird.
Yeah, I know.
Can you hear us still okay?
I can. It's kind of like jumping out, steps a little bit, like bouncing in and out.
Oh yeah, there's only one Wi-Fi we could be on.
Okay.
Oh. Yeah, we're on the right Wi-Fi.
All right, we're
right
gonna do our best with this.
Yes.
Hopefully it's not cutting out too badly.
So we have actually known Hurricane for many, many years, and she is a dear and wonderful friend of us. She works with demons. She is a priestess of darkness, and she has an incredible ability to create artistic endeavors, to dance, to sing, and to basically just allow the essence of the demonic divine to flow through her to create these beautiful works of art. So today we are going to dive into learning a bit more about her, learning about how the demons inspire her work and just her work in general, because she's absolutely an amazing and gorgeous and beautiful individual. So you are an artist and a shamanic artist. Do you want to explain to everybody more of what you do?
Oh, this is so exciting. Okay, so my artistry was kind of something that it was like a call that I couldn't really escape, in the sense that it has always lived inside of me and been so distinct and present in my being, in my soul. And the demons have led me into more mastery and command over it, and that's really what my journey is culminated with, and is the sense of trying to master the essence of the artistry inside of me, because for a long time it was super clear, and yet it was kind of beyond me in a certain sense. Like it was present and available and speaking to me, but I couldn't hold it properly. It was like a weight that I just couldn't command. And so much of my journey has been about growing and evolving as a person to be able to properly hold my artistry. And the demons have done an amazing job in guiding that process and making it feasible, making it clear. Even in moments where it wasn't clear, there was always a direction to follow and something to attend to and expand with it. And that's really been my ultimate muse, music and visuals and dance, and just allowing the divinity of those spaces to occupy and reside in my life and take up space, and truly the contrast between what those spaces can be versus what we know of them in our current incarnation on this earth is so vast, and there can be such a chasm between what is available versus what is possible. And I think honestly it's been the greatest gift to be initiated by the demons in the way that I have into the spaces of art that truly speak to my soul and actually inspire a greater sense of the mystical in life and in this world, and in darkness especially. So yeah.
I love that. I love that whole thing, because it's like we are born on this world, and it's like there's this great calling that we have in our hearts, this great pulled towards something. And so often we're told, oh, don't pursue it, shut it down, repress it. It's not, oh, the darkness is scary, the darkness is bad and all this, but it's like there's this calling. And I know those of us who are on a dark journey, who are on the dark path, we feel it. And when you first discover it, I know when you described when you first discovered it, it's overwhelming. It's like, how do I even begin to define this? How do I even begin to master myself and my skills and abilities? And that's one of the profoundest essences to me of darkness, is that journey of self-transformation and self-awakening, where you kind of learn to command yourself, you learn to command your abilities, and you learn how this path is going to shape you, how it's going to define you, and where it's going to take you. So when you're talking about that, I feel it too, and it's so powerful.
It really is, because it's so interesting. I think a lot of times this very spiritually sensitive souls just have a lot of awareness of the creative work they're meant to bring into this world, and yet who you are as a human actually has to transform in order to hold the truth of that creative work. So it's such an interesting process, and there's so many trials and initiations and fires we have to go through to truly hold the magic that kind of lives inside of that space.
I love that so much, because I'm going through a huge transformation right now, and it's like every time you and I meet or when we talk, we're always synchronous with things, and I just love hearing you say that, because I'm like, yes, that's it.
Yeah, it's so magical, and I feel like it never ends either. That's the crazy thing about it, but also beautiful, because it's kind of I feel like there's this it's like a layer by layer, you go deeper into the core, and it's hard in one sense, difficult in the sense of the process you have to go through, but the ecstasy of meeting each new layer is so worth it, that it's just yes, take me to the fire to die.
Yes. And with every step, it's a new transformation. I know we've been through so many where it is like that. It's it's almost like an initiation to the next level, and you are literally torn to shreds. You are literally put through the fire, and as you burn, you become stronger, you awaken new abilities and skills, and you awaken new perspectives. And it feels like it's not even there's some global element to this. There is a global awakening of this dark consciousness, and it's bringing wisdom back into the world.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I have a question for you too. What is the significance of the name Hurricane Titania?
Ooh. Oh, okay. So it's really interesting. I resonate in my artistry in particular a lot with primality and primordial forces, and a lot of that storm power. Growing up in Florida, I think hurricanes just kind of very close to my heart, and just the feeling of destruction and rebirth that comes through the storm is so inspiring to me. It's kind of my peak artistic muse. The sense of just that almost peace that comes after a storm in the wake of all the destruction. It's a very beautiful, fresh, clean slate, and that's kind of the work I want to do in the arts and creativity in particular, is destroy to rebirth. And Titania is interesting. I originally had just Hurricane as the name, but I was in a hot tub and Titania popped in, which is unrelated.
Awesome.
Yeah, but the influence of Titania is more connected to Titan consciousness, and the feeling of how big we can become as humans, and holding space for that bigness.
That's amazing.
I love that. Because it is, we are entering a phase right now where we are growing, we are evolving, we are opening up energetically, and there's such a creative force that's coming, and it's so powerful, and it's moving it's this undercurrent in the world that's rising within people, and it's a call to darkness, a call to understand this primal nature of our soul, the unknown, the mystical qualities of the world. And we're stepping into that right now, and it's like a massive behemoth of power that's just stirring in this consciousness of humanity.
It's really cool too. I frequent TikTok a lot, and I just kind of observe a lot of the I guess, nature of that community and the younger generation. And it's really interesting to see, because so much of what I feel like I had to fight for as an artist, this connection to like the darkness and the freedom and the trust in that space, it seems really natural for the younger generation, which is cool to see. It's very like embodied, and they also do a lot of like, they talk a lot about the dark feminine and like all of these primals, just interesting things that were not talked about when we were younger. So I think it's cool to see it starting to become mainstream. Yeah.
It is. It's really cool, because I remember when I was in school, like I was in school a long time ago, and I played like just a gothic song, like, because we had to pick a song to play for like our class, right? And I picked just a gothic song, like a gothic song about Halloween. Like it had no Satanism, it had nothing. It was just like a gothic song about Halloween. And my entire class freaked out. And some guys were like, oh, I have to go to church and pray, and this is horrible. I've been tainted by darkness. And I'm like, what? It's a song about Halloween. How many of you went trick-or-treating? Like, seriously. So it's really nice to see that shift, because I remember even like when I was younger, this was forbidden, this was taboo. I mean, you said you were a witch, and like the guidance counselor was giving you the eye, like
We're trying to put you in like a different school.
Yes.
Yeah, I've noticed that too. I've seen like a lot of people really being more open about their path, and especially the darker paths too, which I think is absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
It's so cool to see. And I think it's just like, even if you look at like the creative industry, you can kind of feel that lurking underneath as well.
Yes.
That more appreciation for darkness. Like if you look at all of the trending currents, like things like alt rock, darker, grungier, scarier themes and focuses, as well as like if you look at the mainstream TV shows like Stranger Things and like very monster focused and kind of like yeah, there's just a lot of more of that rising and more appreciation for that. And I think it's just cool to see the evolution creatively as more of that takes root and yeah, establishes itself. I think it's only just the beginning though too, which is also super cool.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
It's exciting too to be in this position.
Yes. It's amazing too, because I remember being a kid, like I remember being like a teenager, and I would dress like this, like I would be immersed in darkness, and it was like me alone, and like everybody else was like looking at me strange. I was the weirdo. And it's like now it's like I can go into different clothing stores and find clothes I like. I can go into like different places and find like there's so much of it, and it's so beautiful to see it awakening, because it's like all of us who have that call. It's like now we're stepping out, we're speaking out, and we're sharing it with the world. We're sharing these gifts with the world, and it's so beautiful to see. And I absolutely love that. Like I absolutely love that you're starting to see it everywhere, like in culture, in our media, in our songs, in our music. Like, you know, I like the other day, even like I was listening to the radio and a song came on. I'm like, no way, this song's on the radio. Oh my gosh, I've never heard this song on the radio. And I love the song, but it's like more like got that gothic element to it. And now it's on the radio, and it's like,
It's exciting.
It is.
Oh, it's so cool. I think it's even like, it's pretty cool to have walked the portal from a place of like having it be so condemned to seeing it start to change and become like really almost like trendy. It's very interesting. But I think going through a place where it was so repressed gives you like a deeper appreciation and connection to the truth of it as we move into this new space, like more power versus just like aesthetic or vibes or all of those things that, yeah, it can get kind of tied up into. I think it's very interesting. Yeah, I feel like it's beautiful though to have walked from a place where it was like so misunderstood to a place where it's now starting to become really almost venerated.
Yes. And then the next step is the matureness, as darkness matures and starts to impact things from a deep level of wisdom. Because even if you look at like society and stuff, like the aspect of the crone has been destroyed. Like our feminine archetypes, like aside from like the Holy Virgin, was destroyed basically. So all like the warrior woman, the crone, you know, all these this dimensional complexity of who, you know, we are, the divine feminine, how it works, how it flows. It was like repressed and like put in a box, and now it's like it's awakening. And right now it's like there's this it's almost like a hurricane of intensity that's like spreading all across the world. And then the wisdom is going to come in, the wisdom and the maturity, and it's going to start shaping things in a way that I think is going to be really empowering and really helpful to our growth and our evolution.
Yes, it's beautiful. And I think it's like you were saying with the maturity, it's going to be really interesting to see how it starts shaping the structures of things and like toppling and breaking down. And I mean, it's been doing that for a while, I feel, but there's just there's some, I feel like, especially in the entertainment industry, in the creative industry in particular, there's just so much outdated paradigms around how to engage with the creative currents, and it'll be interesting to see that overhauled and kind of renewed, because I think when we get to that place where we can start like merging creativity and spiritual consciousness, is going to be a really powerful place for more of the other structures to change and kind of shift to hold more wisdom and beauty.
It is. And it's very interesting because I know that like even like in like the medical industry, there is this pull kind of to integrate spirituality. Like even like in our hospitals in Canada, you know, energy healing practices are now integrated into the hospital. They are starting to acknowledge that there is a spiritual component to this, and that spirituality is actually very beneficial to somebody's healing. So there's this integration that's happening all over. And I love how you say like in like the media industry, there's this awakening of spirituality. And it is like that. It's like we have forgotten the spiritual components of our nature, and now it's awakening, and it's starting to spread and creep through everything. And it's going to create like this I want to say, there's a fancier word for it. I want to say snowball effect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Snowball effect works.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And it's so I think it's like people are just going to realize they can't move forward with the old methods. They're just not going to work in this new space. And how long it takes for them to realize that, that's up for debate. But yeah, it's already felt like, I think people are realizing the stagnancy of trying to engage like things from a very material, soulless place. It's just not going to do what it used to do and provide them what they want. And yeah, it's so much of it's like a growth and an expansion for these infrastructures to realize that they have to kind of evolve with the times and evolve into totally new methods. Like for example, with the music industry, there is so much disregard and disrespect for the intelligence of life and the beauty of a higher consciousness. It's become so formulaic and kind of like by the number, trying to figure out how to control and exploit consumer mindsets and psychology. And a lot of that is just, it's totally disrespecting the artist's capacity to attune to what's needed, versus like this idea that we have to control what's needed and figure it out. And yeah, just totally new models that just need to be put in place, and will make things so much healthier and nicer and beautifuler.
Yes.
I want to add something to that and also comment on what you just said, because I've seen a lot of that. Like there's just stuff starts to sound the same, and everybody's singing about the same things or doing the same things. And then you'll have like one person come out and they actually sing something or do something with like soul and emotion, and they stand out so much like compared to everybody else. Like I'm just like, wow, that person's like imperfect, and they're raw and they're emotional and they're real, and it's like it's so deep when you find it. And it's like, even if they're not like absolutely perfect and, you know, just like cookie cutter and like everything, it's like, I like this person a lot because they're speaking from their soul.
Yes.
Yes, there's something I have to tell you guys, because I was watching, I think it was one of your picker cards, and I picked ᴜᴜᴜᴜ, and
Ooh.
in his message, there was something you said that like stuck with me, and it's been like a consistent like little voice in my ear. And is you said something about rock and roll and the imperfection of it, and how that's what
Yeah.
She said that rock and roll is one of the beauties. The beauty of rock and roll is that it's imperfect, and that's what makes it perfect.
Yes, and that I went into a studio for my first. I'm recording a project right now, and I went in for the first song, and what do? We start with the vocals, and I'm like, I'm totally new to the process, so I'm like trying to do it the way I've been doing it, which is just singing it all the way through and all of those things. And the process they're used to is so different. But what he did initially, he I did the run through, and then he was like, "Oh, let me just pitch your vocals," and I was like, "Okay, whatever. I don't know what that is, but you can do it." And and he started pitching them, and it sounded disgusting to me. Like it just like everything was pitch perfect, but it sounded like a computer human, and that I was just like, no, we're not doing this. This is not happening in any of my songs. But that's what they do for the entire industry. They use all this software and they make it everything perfect, but that strips so much of the true soul of what is trying to be expressed, because it comes through in these moments that are just so heartfelt that they falter, but they are actually a part of a bigger picture that is more than that moment of faltering. And it's so sad that so much of the industry is becomes so reliant on technology as the idea of genius, when it's such a deeper force. It's much deeper than how they relate to it. And that's what the beauty of rock really represented in its flourishing, and back in the early, middle, and towards the end of the 1900s. It was like raw, and it came from such a deep, beautiful place that was devotional also, in the sense of knowing what it was capable of and pushing itself and not cutting corners and not allowing technology to take over, and being the leader of the ship. And it's rare for that consciousness now, because it's so pushed on these young artists that they have to be perfect and everything needs to be exactly what the computer wants it to be.
So they actually go and they do something to your voice after you recorded to like strip things out of it?
No, I had no idea. It's basically what it is they run the entire vocal run through, or the vocal take through a it aligns with the key of the song, and then you move the notes according to that key so that everything's perfectly in key and in pitch. And
wow,
so weird, because it's like you put it in and they pitch you perfectly, and then it's just ready to do whatever they want to edit over it. And it's kind of strange and creepy, and now that I heard it, I hear it everywhere, and it's so
well, now that you're talking about it, because I hear, like, I'll turn the radio on sometimes and I'm like, oh, this all sounds the same, there's no feeling. And sometimes like artists that have been around for a while that have like new stuff, it sounds weird to me. And then I like their live stuff better, because like they catch the live stuff, and I think they're doing it because I'm like, I like the live version of this better, because it just has like a feeling. It doesn't sound like, and this makes so much sense now you're saying this. I'm like, oh, I think I know what you mean. Like, I think I'll be able to hear it now too, that I know what it is, because I just was like, oh, I don't like this.
Oh, it's so funny, because you hear like little warbles where it's kind of like adjusting the pitch, and it just, I hear it everywhere, and it creeps me out. But the crazy thing is you can also do it to a microphone. So you can literally pitch the same software. Yeah, put the same software into a microphone. Yeah, so they're on stage and everything's just being pitch corrected.
Wow,
that's insane.
Actually, I think I played with a microphone like that once at Tom Lee. I was at a music store and there was a pitched microphone, but I thought I sounded like a robot. I was like, what is this? This is terrible.
What is happening?
That basically, it's like,
it's crazy the amount of sophistication they put into like overriding people's natural genius to just do what they're supposed to do.
It's sad too, because it's like, yeah, you listen to the older artists and there is such a range of sounds that come from them. And it's funny because I think they started doing this when we were teenagers in the 90s, because I remember my stepdad used to complain about this all the time. He's like, oh, they're all auto-tuned and all that. But I used to no, and here I'm about to admit my crimes of my teenage years. Back in the Napster days, I'm just dating myself right there, but back when Napster first came out, one of the coolest things about it was that I could find music that I didn't know existed. I found music from genres all over the world that I was like, what is this? Like, I know people are like, oh, Napster was terrible and it's horrible, you know, and LimeWire and all that. But, you know, okay, yeah, there was that component to it. But it also, I think it opened the way for like Apple Music and like Spotify and all the other, you know, this global collaboration of music. So artists like, you know, in Finland or in England or in Russia, their music can go all over the world.
Exactly. Yeah, it's really amazing, and I love where the arts are going in now, especially with like the just the global nature of things and the global nature of certain industries. I have this like fascination with studying the creative industries of other cultures, because I feel like I learned so much from just their value systems, how different they are from the West. And it's really cool to start to see it all kind of start bleeding together. And that's really where I hope entertainment and the creative spaces eventually go, is to this place of like cultural collaboration and that unique sort of intersection of consciousness where we can all kind of work together, because there's such interesting perspectives out there that are really deeply tied to these cultures and their way of like their traditions and how they've established things, and it's really profound. And I derive a lot of my inspiration from other cultures, but it's similar too also because I think there's like the old school art just had a different feel to it before technology took over. Even across like cultures, there's just a difference in the quality between like how many 20 years ago, 10-20 years ago versus the modern artistic space. But I do think it's like regenerating. I think it's a breakdown regeneration sort of cycle, and it's going where it needs to go, but right now it's kind of frustrating.
Yeah.
I have noticed that like especially like in TikTok, like I found so many cool new songs from TikTok. Because it's like, because the artists will put their song on TikTok. I'm like, wow, this is great. And then they have a YouTube channel, and then they have a place where you can get it. And it's like, this is fantastic, you know? So there's this like, it's almost like a rebellion against that, a rebellion that's brewing. It's like, no, you know, we're going to take our creativity back into our own hands. We're going to take this force back, and we're going to use it, you know, to allow our voices to shine. So it's like a reclaiming.
Really is, and I see a lot of that on TikTok. Like there's the performance and expression of the younger generation is really, it's really evolved in a very unique way, because they've had these platforms to play with and find themselves upon. And it's really cool to see, because there's like almost like this a lot of star quality on TikTok, but it's not centralized. It's like everybody has star quality now. So it's cool to see that flourishing and evolving in that way, just because of the new tech and platforms that kind of guide. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to say kind of in a point on the technology and the influence of that, how much the demons have influenced my relationship to this perspective, because I was initially in the same mindset, I think, honestly, when I was younger, because I had this, like I said, I had that artistic consciousness that was always there. And I was like, that's clearly here, and I know I can bring it out. So let me just find people to help me bring it out and make it easy. And the demons are like, nope, you're going to do it. You're going to do it on your own. You're going to figure it out.
Yes. We call that working with Mammon, where it's like, Mammon, I can do all this. Oh, good. Let me drop a nuclear bomb on your life. Thank you, Mammon. What was the point of that? Well, you had to destroy all the old stuff. Yes.
Exactly. Because honestly, they closed so many doors where it would have been made to be something that I would have just become another, part of the machine. And they really guided me to artistic maturity, creative maturity. Yeah.
I actually love that you just said that, because I feel the same way about like business and the path I'm on, because I had so many other opportunities, so many other things I could have done, so many other paths I could have taken, but they're like, and I always felt that they were like, nope, you can't do that. Nope, that's not your path. Nope, that's not your path. Nope, that's not your path. Nope, don't go there. Nope, that's not going to work. It was like everything, when I was not on the right path, just imploded around me. But when I was on the path, then things started opening up, things started moving in the right direction. So I love that you say that too, because it is like that. It is like this force where we are being molded and shaped to kind of awaken the greatness that's within us, to actually like to mature the darkness within us so that we can be a force for change.
Exactly. Because it does require a lot of heavy work in a certain sense. Or just not heavy work, but just devotion and time. I think time is a big component as well. Like, you have to go through certain things to understand a perspective that's going to be beneficial to you. And you don't really see the value of that perspective until you've undergone the devastating thing that's shown you.
Yeah. Oh, so many times. Devastating things. It's like, well, it's happening. I hate it.
Yeah.
When I'm healing from it, I'm like, why did this happen? This is horrible. And then afterwards, it's like, oh, it had to happen. There was no other way.
Exactly. Yeah. It's funny. Hindsight is always, what's that saying? I don't know.
It's always 2020. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's so interesting too, because it's kind of like you said, going through it is so intense and it's such a trial, but then you get to the other side and you just have so much more command. And I think that's the piece that's so valuable, is like the command that comes with the maturity of your consciousness, because it's like things that used to seem out of your control are no longer out of your control, and it's like you just have more knowledge of how to move things forward and progress in a really balanced way.
Yes, that exactly. It gives you the wisdom. And it's funny because that's what I've always believed, that this dark path awakening is all about, is wisdom, wisdom for our species, wisdom for balance, wisdom to kind of, because we're moving so fast technologically, we're moving so fast in so many different directions. And so when wisdom comes in, it kind of brings balance to all of that. And it's like we're going through all these trials so that we can learn the wisdom. And it's some days, but other it's like,
So you already mentioned it, but you're doing recording for your new EP.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
Tell us about that.
Yes. It's so much fun, and it's really cool because it's my first really fleshed out, established body of work as an artist that I've put a lot of time and thought into, and kind of just like setting the tone for where I want my creations to go. I started it at the beginning of the year because I went down this rabbit hole of Hieronymus Bosch paintings, and all of a sudden I was just like, whoa, this is so cool. And it just like popped into my head, the name of the project, and I was like, this is the tone, this is the feeling. I'm gonna set some time aside and just make some songs. And luckily I found this service that really assisted me in the greater conceptualization of the project. As a musician, or as a composer, really, I had an idea for how I wanted the thing I created to sound, and I knew it was very different than what is commonly pushed as like the beats that you find online or the things that you get produced. I really like live instruments and the soul of live instruments. So I found this service that allowed me to really play with the capacity as an artist to build these tracks in this really organic way, just being attuned to the story of each song, and finding musicians that had mastery over their specific instrument, and allowing that genius to kind of accumulate in this world that I was building. And it's a project based on monsters and the cultural legends of monsters. And it's so much fun because the truth of monsters is so much deeper than just these like frightful beings. They really represent the collective fears of certain cultures where they come from. And I tried to expand this project into a multicultural sort of experience where you had monsters coming from Native American cultures, monsters from European cultures, all these different textures and feelings of these different spaces where monsters can occupy in our collective psyche. It's very rock, bluesy, kind of dark sounding, but quite cinematic. And I really wanted it to be a very strong, visceral experience with each song. And it's been so cool because I have had to become a different person to bring this thing to life. And even now, while I'm in the process of recording the vocals, I'm having to expand and grow so much because it's quite, it's just like a very distinct spiritual process to bring something like this into form. And I'm learning a lot about bringing sound into form in this way. Like it has its own intelligence, it has its own sentience, it kind of does its own thing, and you are just a vessel and a conduit for it. And it's cool and exciting, but also intense. But I'm so excited for where it's going and what it's becoming. And it's just really, really cool to be in this place and be in this space where like the fruits of the labor that I've put in for so long are finally starting to like show me something and become something. And really, this journey has been so long because I've had this desire and this dream for as long as I've been spiritually awake. And I've just been walking the path, and there have been affirmations and guidance and signs, but it's been so long for the fruit to finally emerge. But now that it's here, it's kind of like, it's just surreal. And I feel so grateful to be on this path and to be guided as I am by the dark divine and the lovely demons. And yeah.
That's amazing.
Oh, I love that. I absolutely love that. It is like that just that journey. It's like you are forged from steel, like you are forged from fire and, fire and struggle and hardship. And it's like you come out like an absolute diamond. Like, it's just like, you are defined by this path of pressure. It molds you into a diamond version of yourself.
Exactly. It's been so cool because like the evolution of that consciousness, of that creativity, it's just been so cool to see it expand into these sublime spaces. Because like I was saying earlier in the call, it's a lot of times we have access to these energies, but we can't hold the fullness of them until we're fully strong enough, really. And just being able to see and experience the progression of that consciousness and the sophistication of it and the intelligence of it, and kind of watching it come to life. I've taken on all of these just in the past year. Even I've taken on a bunch of new skills like guitar and choreographed dance, which has been like hugely intimidating to me because I started out with just flow and like instinct and connection to my own body, so it always scared the living fuck out of me. And so it was really cool this year because I applied myself just devotionally to the sense of, this is going to be really frustrating and it's going to be annoying and I'm going to cry a bunch.
Aww.
Even just yesterday I was crying in a class.
Tears of transformation. I am hurting for my art.
Yeah, exactly. But it's so cool because, you know, you go through those places of pain and frustration, but then all of a sudden it starts to connect and click, and you start to have this power. And it's just, it's kind of addicting as a feeling to be like, to witness that shift from incompetence to competence, and to the evolution of your voice within those spaces. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I am so excited for when your music launches. Like, I'm so excited. I can't wait. I know you played some demos for us last time we got together, and it was just, oh, it was beautiful.
I got to see you perform live, and it was absolutely magical.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, you guys are my first performance.
Oh, it was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful. And I just want to say, like, from the time I met you to now, how you have stepped into your power, how you have stepped into your art, how you have stepped into like you as a beautiful, as a magnificent artistic goddess, like how you've stepped into that. It is so beautiful to see. It is like you started out like, you know, unsure and unknown, like not really knowing where to go. And then you've claimed this space, you've claimed this power, and you own it. You're beautiful, you're talented, you're gorgeous. There's a fire within you, and it's just so beautiful to see. And I'm so proud of you.
Yeah. I want to add to that too, because I'm so proud of you too. So many people, you know, will not take the actions, and you just always go right for it. And I love that. Like, that is such a great quality. You're just like so courageous and so brave, and it's so inspiring. And it's just so amazing. I'm so happy that we get to do this with you.
Oh my goodness. That means so much to me. Yeah, it's been amazing, honestly, to be a part of this journey with you guys, just witnessing like where the divine is leading us, and like the sort of just fruition of each of our individual paths, and how they kind of like, they dance, but they each flower in their own beautiful way. It's so cool. And because I remember early on, like, I really didn't have an idea of how this was possible, or how I would eventually bring it to life. So it was kind of overwhelming. And I remember thinking like, maybe I should just do spiritual work and like figure that out. And every time I like tried to just stay in that space, I would always just feel so like frustrated, and like I want to dance. It's so cool, because I thought initially like, oh, if I do this path, then I'm gonna have to leave the other one behind, or I'm not gonna be able to have balance with the two. But it's so cool, because when you do strip everything away, when you like destroy all the structures, everything gets to be a part of the picture. It's just you. It's just like your entire being gets to be the path.
That's amazing.
I love that, because I felt the same thing. Like, I felt the same thing, because I was like, I learned a lot about business, and I learned a lot about investing. I mean, that was my foundation. But yet I had this spiritual side that kept calling to me, that kept like, you know, reaching to me. And it's like, how can I even begin? Like, and also not only that, it was Satanism, it was demons, it was dark spirituality. Like, it was something that not only was like considered taboo, but like people would like, they were like, oh, you know, you're evil, you're horrible. Like, it was like, how is this going to even work? And then I just remember like the first time, I call it Mammon's first official destruction of my life, where he blew everything up. Like, my entire foundation, my entire world was shaken and just like destroyed. And I was like, what is going on? And it was like, it all just rose from that. It all just came together. And now I'm like on this path, and we're doing this. And, you know, I have all these amazing people around me. I have an amazing group of friends who, you know, support me. And it's just like, wow, you know, it was because I let go of what should have been and embraced what could be.
Exactly. And it's just such a contrast between what the world tells us is available.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm finding that right now, because I'm expanding my skill set in other areas, and it's like trying to get the two of them together, like fit the spirituality in with it. And when you get it, it's such a beautiful thing because it flows so naturally. But we're told so many things about how you can't fit these two things together, or you have to be this way. Like I'm doing business stuff right now, and it's like, I think it's almost like a balancing between the divine masculine and divine feminine in a lot of areas, because like spirituality and like magic and stuff versus like science, I think the two of those need to come together. And in business now, I'm seeing more of like the divine feminine, because I have a coach, and the things that she's telling me are just so incredible, because it's like, oh, I can approach this like from a completely different place, because I was in corporate America before, and it was very like, you know, harsh and masculine and all these things you have to do to be successful in business. And it's like, no, there's another side to this, and it's just finding that balance. But it's so amazing, you know, and hearing you talk about also, this is kind of going back to what you said, where you're becoming what you need to become to create this music, like that whole, like the process of alchemy. I just find that absolutely amazing and fascinating, and so excited for you.
Yeah, it's honestly, it's just like, it's magical. Like, that's the best way to put it. Like, I think a lot of times we get so held in this mundane perspective of just like doing things, and you know, we forget where we come from and just the difference in that space, and just to look at where my life is now, and like, it's so weird. I'm like living my younger self's dreams, and it's surreal sometimes to think about just how it came to be. And like, yeah, it's so odd and amazing, and it's also only just the start. So it's kind of like mind-blowing to kind of see it in perspective, and to really embrace the gifts of the alchemy. And yeah, it's not easy. I think there's so much that has to be left behind, and so much that has to be sacrificed, and I've always just kind of like embraced the pain, because what else is there to do?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, may as well.
Yeah.
More fun this way.
Exactly. But it's like, yeah, I've had to like lose, in order to step into this path and really receive from it, I've had to lose love. I've had to like leave behind things that were really meaningful to me, just devote so much time without any guarantee, and yet eventually you get to the place where you're like, oh, okay, this is really actually amazing, and all of those things were kind of just bumps in the road.
Yeah.
The sacrifice of the path.
Yeah.
Sacrifice to make it sacred.
Yeah, and that is what adds the
right.
sacredness to it, because it's like, you have these paths, you have these options, and it's like, what's the most important? What are you giving up to go towards that thing? And that it does make it more meaningful, because you had to choose that, and you had to move towards that, and you had to give things up. Like, that's, you know, it's looked at, I think, in some cases as a bad thing, but it ends up being like really special, and there's just like the depth of that sacredness.
Right, exactly. Because I feel like sometimes things take up space in our life, and they prevent other energies from living, but we don't always see that, and we're kind of attached, whether it's emotionally, chemically, erotically, all of those things, to the thing that represents what we're used to. But then it's like stripped away, and yes, it's painful, and it's like jarring to what our like expectation, but then we see what fills up this space, and it's something that's like so much more magnificent, that it's just mind-blowing sometimes to be a part of that process.
Oh, I love it. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. We are almost at an hour, so we probably should start wrapping this up.
Yes. So where can we find you?
Yes. Where can everybody go to find you and hear your beautiful work?
Yes. So I have right now my Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok for a variety of emanations. If you want consciousness work, go to Facebook. If you want hot dances, go to TikTok. If you want visual art, go to Instagram, and any of those platforms will be promoting my project when it's ready. And
Yay!
Awesome. We will put that down below
yes.
as well.
And also, we are going to be heading over to your YouTube channel for another interview, which we are going to be dropping that in the comment section below. So if you want to hear the rest of this, come join us over at Hurricane Titania's channel. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining us for this amazing, delightfully dark discussion. If you love our work, please like and subscribe to our video. And yeah, if you have any comments, questions, or suggestions, please leave them below. We do read the comments. We love hearing from you all. So I hope you guys have an amazing and wonderful, demonically inspired week. And thank you so much again, Hurricane Titania, Priestess Hurricane Titania, for joining us for this amazing, amazing, delightfully dark discussions. We will definitely be having you on again because we love you and you're amazing.
Yes.
So till next time, everybody. Bye.